All right, so I think we can get started here in just a minute or so for everyone who's just hopping on. We did a little icebreaker chat box question. Just drop in the chat what your 4th of July plans are, what your plans are for the long weekend. We've got some people doing some yard work, so that's great. And that we can get started. Thank you, everyone who is joining us, who registered and is here today. My name is Hillary Butler. I am the development manager at HFLA of Northeast Ohio. And I know some of you may be familiar with what we do, maybe past or current loan recipients. But I will just give a little information. We are a nonprofit that provides 0% interest loans to individuals who don't have access to conventional forms of finance. So that's students, people that need help with emergencies, or small business owners. Today, we have Keisha Wilson with us on this call. She is our credit expert from Citizens. Citizens is a fantastic partner for HFLA. They help us do the work that we're doing, and they also provide us with a wealth of resources that we're able to share with our community members and our loan recipients. So during this session, Keisha will walk us through, some of the basics of how your credit score is calculated, how to manage, how to improve your credit score, and then how you can even use your credit to improve, how you can use your credit to reach your financial goals, which I know in the pre-survey, I saw a lot of you talking about what you want to do with your money, and that's great. So I will pass it off to Keisha here in just a moment, just a few housekeeping items before we get started. I will ask that during the presentation, remain on mute when you are not speaking. That just helps prevent any background noise from interrupting either Keisha or somebody else who is having a question at that time. Be sure to use the chat box during this entire time too. You can drop any questions in there. We're able to address them later or just interact with some of the other folks that are on this call. We do also hope that if you are able to keep your camera on, it just makes it seem like we're all kind of here together, and it lets us know who we're talking to and how we're doing. Seeing your faces really keeps that level for us. And then finally, my broken record is definitely ask questions. Keisha is here for you. She wants to help you take what you're learning in the session and apply it to what you want to do in your life and the situations that you have going on. All right, I think that is my spiel. Keisha, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you so much, Hillary. Hi, everyone. My name is Keisha Wilson. If you could, give me a thumbs up, either virtually or with your hand, just to let me know whether or not you can hear my audio. Perfect. All right. So as Hillary mentioned, my name is Keisha Wilson. I am a multi-site branch manager at Citizens Bank. And my job here is just to manage the day-to-day operations. But what I love is truly helping clients reach their financial goals. And that ranges from a child starting their first account, savings or checking, all the way up to home purchasing and things like that. So, I really have to get to know my client. The great thing about Citizens is it is not one size fits all. We actually review and do what's called citizens checkups to understand each and every client and understand what it is, that their goals is. And we customize a roadmap to make sure that we get them there. My highlight of my day, though, is when I'm able to, speak to groups and organizations and discuss financial literacy. I always say to myself, hey, if I was a young adult, if someone would have told me this would have been, something I would have done back then. So I want to ask you all in chat, or if you want to come off mute, if I can have one or two volunteers who said, if I knew then what I know now about my credit, what would that be? I can tell you mine. So I did not know the importance of credit. Like, I heard of credit, but keep in mind, that was years ago. And I got myself into credit card debt and trouble early on. Any other people out there had any aha moments? If I knew then what I know now about my credit, what I would have done, or? I see someone in the chat said, I wouldn't have bought some pizza on my credit card while in college. Yes. Okay. It needs to be managed by me. Absolutely. Absolutely, Tanya. It needs to be managed by you. Any others out there? The pizza on the credit card. I got one better. I used to go to the Cleveland Indians games when they were called the Indians and not the Guardians. And they would say, sign up and get a t-shirt. And I would apply for credit card applications just to get a t-shirt so I can put it on at the game. How crazy is that, right? So can you all see my presentation okay? Perfect, thank you. So ask yourself, how satisfied with my credit score? That is just like an internal, like, you know, sometimes today I could be not satisfied at all. Tomorrow, maybe I'm doing great and I'm extremely satisfied, somewhere in the middle. And this is just a rhetorical ask, right? You know, throughout today's presentation, we will be discussing about credit and credit building. My job and my goal is by the end of this presentation, you will have more knowledge in a couple of areas. And this is today's agenda: the importance of credit, credit report and credit scores, also factors of a FICO, tips on how to improve the credit score simulator activity will be at the end. However, I want to just make sure you all submitted some questions in the beginning. I'm going to hopefully hit some of those answers and go from there. So when we're talking about credit reports and credit score basics, your credit history can affect your access to credit loans, jobs, housing, insurance, and other important services. So an aha moment, a lot of people didn't know that your credit affects when you're applying for jobs. They actually sometimes, depending on the position that you're applying for, pull your credit report, right? And a credit report basically is a document that contains your credit history. Financial institutions use these reports to help you access your ability to repay the loan or the credit card. So we look at you and we say, you know, it's like a big report card. The higher the score, the better, you know, we grade you. So a first step in being able to understand your credit report is to understand what it is and what it is not included in that report. So we're going to take a closer look. There are two significant things that affect your credit score: whether you repay your debts on time, as agreed, and also your credit utilization, which is how much you owe compared to the credit limit that was assigned to you. Now, additional factors for your credit report is, you know, how long you've had your credit or your current loans, credit cards, and different types of loans. Now, people with higher scores present lower risk to those, you know, other than those that have lower scores, right? So I always tell people, think about it like this. Has anyone ever had a friend that said, hey, can I borrow $5? Mary, have you had a friend say, hey, can I borrow $5? And you're right. So, and they say, I'll pay you back on Friday. Friday comes. They didn't pay you back. Is that good credit with Mary or bad credit with Mary? Right? Uh-oh, she said bad. She said bad. But then, you know, we may have Maisha, who has a friend, and, you know, they borrow and they say, Maisha, I'm going to pay you back on Friday. But on Thursday, they pay Maisha back. So that friend, wow, you paid me back, and you paid me before the time you said that you were going to pay me, right? So with that particular person, their credit with Maisha is great. It's excellent. You even paid me back before you told me you would, right? So with credit, one key thing to keep in mind is that our credit history and scores are ever evolving, right? It is possible to have a low credit rating today, but to absolutely be able to improve that credit score, okay? I don't want you all to think, oh, if I'm low, I can never recover. No, there are definitely tips and tricks to help you do that, right? So before I go on to the next one, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me. I, as I stated, am a multi-site branch manager here at Citizens. Sounds great, sounds lovely. However, who I was, imagine this. The year was 2002, and I had just got married, had a kid. 2004, bought my first home. 2006, that particular home was great. Actually, I bought it in 2006. 2008, the mortgage crisis happened. I lost that home. I went from having a great credit score to not having a great credit score in a matter of instance, right? Because I failed to plan properly. So I always tell people, just because I have an 800 today does not mean that that score can't go down. It's important to put together, savings plans and things like that to protect your score. So just as you can build up, you can also go down if you don't have the right tools in place. Okay. So someone once will say, so what are some factors of, a credit score? There are 5 factors in a credit score. One of them, payment history. This accounts for 35% of your credit score, which is why making your payments on time is so crucial, right? So I always tell people, if I borrow $5 from Mary, I owe Mary $5 and I owe a credit card $5 at the same time. I may say, hey, Mary, can I actually pay you back next week so that I don't miss the thing that's reporting on my credit? Okay. So payment history is super, super important when it comes to credit score. The amount that you owe, that accounts for 30% of your credit score. This considers how much your credit you are utilizing. For example, if you have credit cards being too close to the limit, that will negatively impact your score. So some people may say, well, Keisha, why is that? If they give me a credit card for $500 and I use $500 consistently every month, why does that impact me negatively? So consider this. Consider you owe $5 or $5 to Mary. Mary, me and you gonna have fun today, okay? Consider that you owe $5 to Mary, and you pay Mary back today on Friday, $5. But on Saturday, I call Mary back. Hey, Mary, can I borrow $5? I'll pay you back next Friday. Mary's like, okay, well, you can have I'll pay you back. You say, okay. Next Friday comes, I pay you back, Mary. Saturday, I call you again. Oh, Mary, this is the last time. Mary is saying something is happening. Something is happening that she needs this right back. And if Keisha loses her job, what do you think is going to happen to Mary's $5, right? So that uneasiness, that being so close to the limit, that reborrowing instantly can help to adversely affect your credit score, okay? 15% of your credit score is the length of history that you've had. The longer you have your credit history, the better. The reason being is because it gives creditors, a longer time to evaluate you. Everybody can run fast the first 10 steps. So when you get to step number 20, 30, if you're going around the curve of the track, people get slower and slower and slower, right? So the longer the credit history, the better that an institution can evaluate you paying. Your credit mix is 10%. So a credit mix is the types of credit you have. Does one have a credit card, mortgage, student loan? Is it diversified? Some people only pay their credit cards. Some people only pay their car because that car can get them from point A to point B, but I forget about my credit card. So if you only have one type of credit, that evaluation, even though it's only 10%, it does factor in because we want to know how you do on all types of credit, not just one singular group of credit. Now, your ability to obtain new credit, that new credit accounts for 10% of your credit history. So, depending on, what you have, if Jackie says, you know what, I'll let Keisha take $5. Mary might say, oh, well, Jackie's taking a chance on her. I might take a chance on her too. Okay. So those are the 5 factors that goes into your general FICO score. If you have any questions while I'm talking, please, please, please drop them in the chat while we are talking. I see there is a question. How can you use your credit card monthly to take advantage of points without adversely affecting your credit? That is an amazing question, Maisha. So Maisha says, listen, these creditors are giving points to get stuff, well, whether it's mileage or rewards or cash back. How can I take advantage of that and not be adversely affected? So credit managed wisely can, in fact, improve your score. We're going to talk about the score. Maisha, I'm going to come back to your question, and I promise I'll get that answer to you, okay? So one might say, what is a good credit score? So listed on the screen, it just gives ranges of scores. And remember, just because you're at the top or the bottom does not mean it cannot adjust. FICO scores range from 300 to 850. The higher your score, the more likely you will qualify for loans, housing, insurance, and even in some cases, employment. It is important to note that no matter where your score is, you can always take steps, of course, to improve it. One person may say, well, if I'm a minor, or if I have a minor, or if I don't have any credit established, how can I establish credit? So authorized users or adding authorized users or joint owners to your account can help you improve your credit. But please understand, if I am added to my Hillary's credit, Hillary says, you know what, Keisha, I'll help you out. You can, be an authorized user. Hillary doesn't give me a credit card or anything to use it. I'm just borrowing Hillary's credit. So if Hillary pays her bills on time, all of that positive credit history from Hillary goes to me. Okay. Now, you got to be selective, because what if Hillary says, you know what, I'm not paying any more bills today? How do you think that would affect? It would go down, definitely. So you got to be very cautious of who you are authorized or joint owners on, if that is the step that you choose to take. Okay. There are other steps as well that you can do. You can do savings secured loans or credit cards as well to build credit and repay credit. Okay. So with that said, tips to improve your credit. So we talked about what good credit scores are, and now let's talk about ways that we can improve your current score. So build your credit file. To do this, open accounts that will report on your credit. Typically, lenders of credit report to all 3 credit bureaus. If you are an authorized user on someone's credit card, as we just discussed, that can help you to improve your score. But again, remember that caveat, make sure that they are credit worthy people. Please, you can also self-report some utility payments to credit reports. A lot of people don't know that, right? If I pay my light bill, my gas bill, my cable bill, some credit reports will allow you to self-report those. Okay. Remember, do not miss payments if possible, right? If it's something that there's a minimum payment, we're going to borrow from Joseph. If Joseph says it's okay, we're going to pay Joseph back, right? Hopefully early, right? But we want to make sure that we are not missing a payment at all. Catch up on past due accounts, okay? While late payments remain on your credit report up to 7 years, having your accounts current can assist with improving your score. Also, it helps to avoid additional late marks from being added to your credit file. If you are having difficulty making payments, speak to your financial institutions. So people don't realize, if I pay my payment late, if I owe Carly $50 and I forget to pay Carly, and Carly's late fee is $30, now I owe Carly $80. So, and the data popped in there, ask your creditor to change your due date if you know you can't consistently make your payment on time. When you get a car note, or if you have a credit card due and you're only paid monthly on X day, call them and ask them to change your due date so that your payment can fall within the range and it is on time. You want to pay down your revolving account balances. Having high balances on credit accounts can lead to high credit utilization rate, which hurts your score. Remember, I use the analogy of me owing Mary, and every week I'm asking for that same $5. Some weeks I ask for $6, right? With Mary, that may, adversely affect my relationship with her. She may say, no, I can't do it this time, Keisha, I'm sorry, right? So it's super important that you're paying down those revolving balances to reduce your utilizations. Pay close attention to the timing of when you make your payment. If you can pay as close to the statement close date, not the due date, before that, the day the statement closes, the day it cuts off, that in itself will help lower what is reported to the credit bureau. Okay. Limit how often you apply for new credit. Well, Keisha, why is that important? Why is when I apply? Because every time someone checks your credit, it puts a notification on there, a ding. Now, while the points may be small, those small amounts add up. So Mary tells Keisha, you know what? Nope, I'm not going to do it this time. I'm so sorry. So now Keisha is asking Carly, Keith, Tanya, Maisha, like, hey, can I borrow? Can I borrow? By the time I get to Joseph, Joseph might be like, yeah, no, you've asked all these people and they've told you no, something is wrong, right? So that's why it's super, super important to make sure that you are limiting how often you apply, right? Now, someone may say, well, hey, I thought it was good to check my credit, when I'm applying for homes or mortgages or car notes, to compare apples to apples for rates, right? There is a time window, 30 days or so. And if you're shopping for something, you can compare. And, during that time period, those people will see that, hey, they are looking, but that score comes into place. If your credit score is close to that 350, make sure you're not going all around the world trying to apply for that car. Maybe you save the money first and then purchase it outright cash. Also, check your scores to ensure that you monitor your credit score often. Guess what I found out? When I was 28, I found out that my dad had an electric bill in my name. I had no idea, right? Now, here's the thing. Did my dad mean to go past due on that electric bill? I'm confident he did not. He did it when I was a kid. And he did it because his credit was not managed appropriately, right? It wasn't until I checked my, like, what is this on my report? Had I not checked that report, I would not have known. Now, we just paid the bill because he was a relative. I would have had to prosecute and all of that. But you want to make sure that you are checking your report and your score to make sure whatever is on there is adequately paid and on time. Okay. Now, let's see how you can order your credit reports. There's a couple different ways. How to access your credit report. You are entitled from every company one free credit report. You can go to the credit bureau agency or website of www.annualcreditreport.com, or you can mail in your request. TransUnion, that is one of the credit reports. There's three major. TransUnion is one of the credit bureau agencies. Another agency is Equifax, and another agency is Experian. So I see some people taking notes, so I'll leave it here for a quick second. And while I do that, I see that Jacqueline asked a question and Carly asked a question. So Jacqueline said, will paid medical bills drop from your reports, and how will that improve your credit score? So items remain on your credit report for 7 years. Okay. Paid bureau or paid items for medical bills, you can contact your actual medical company and ask them to remove it from your credit report. You can ask any lender to remove something from your credit report, whether they will or not. It depends on the company, the institution. Sometimes people will do a settlement. Maybe I owe Hillary $1,000 and I say, hey, Hillary, I don't have 1,000, but maybe I can pay you 500. Can I pay you the 500 and you remove it from my report? Hillary agrees, that gets removed. Now, sometimes Hillary says, no, I'm going to keep it on there, but I will accept your 500. That will be reported as a settlement for 500. Now, keep in mind, yes, Carly, yes, 7 years. She said, wow, 7 years. So that does stay reported on your credit, okay? Now, someone asked, are you entitled to one every year for free? Yes. Now, listen here. You can monitor your credit every single day if you choose. That one every year, that one annually is free. That's the free one. But you can utilize the TransUnion app, the Equifax app. Some people use Credit Karma. Some people have on their credit card a Vantage score calculator. Anything like that will help you to manage, but the accurate report in bureau will always come from either the direct institution, TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian themselves, or getting one annually from annualcreditreport.com. Okay, so now we talked a little bit about what credit reports are, what can we do to improve, how to raise your score, what the credit score is, what credit mix is, utilization, how to pay the $5 back to Mary because she's tired of allowing me to borrow. Now we need to take action, right? We know what is included. Now we need to take action. What will I do? So this is the area that we need to sit back and think. What will I do, or what can I do? So here are some tips that I recommend. If you have credit cards that you use religiously, I would assess, write down all your bills, see what it is you're paying every single month, see what it is that you actually need. If I add up all of my bills every single month and it comes out to a number, say that number is $700. Number one, ask myself, does my income support that $700, right? If my income is less than the $700, perhaps I need to do some things such as maybe get a part-time job or get a better job or make people pay me back or stop borrowing money. But you need to make sure that what you bring in is more than what you send out, right? Then assess what you're spending your money on. So when you come in to me at the bank and you say, hey, I want to make sure that I am saving. I say, oh, my first question, how much money do you blow a month? If you think about that number, if you say, how much do I blow a month? And I'm not talking about, oh, I went and bought these Air Jordans. For me, mine was Starbucks every day. Woo-hoo-hoo. I was spending like $3,200 a year on Starbucks. And as y'all know, it ain't even that good. It was a routine, it was a habit, right? So think about what you are spending and say, can you cut it in half? I'm not saying don't have a life, but if I go to Starbucks every day, can I go every other day? And the days that I don't go, put it in my account, right? Call, make a plan of any negative people on my credit report. Ask them for settlements if they'll do it. Ask them, if they can take less than what you owe, right? Pay your bills on time. Use your credit cards under 30%, okay? Under 15% if you can. You never want your credit cards to not be utilized, right? Because you don't want them to say, oh, she doesn't need me, let me go ahead and close it, or he doesn't need us, let me go ahead and close it. Show that you use it, but you know how to manage it. A lot of people don't realize is sometimes good credit is better than money, right? I may have $100 in my, here's the thing, me and my best friend, she needed to go buy a car. She goes into the Lexus dealership. They give her a 0% interest. I was like, oh, I want one. Now, first of all, I wasn't even there to buy a car. I just went with her, but she got 0%. My car was perfectly fine, an Altima. I love my little Altima, but she just got a new car for 0%. So she's paying the cost of the car. So because I wanted one, I said, yeah, let me apply. So they applied me. And at the time, I did not get 0%, but I was approved and they were like, do you want it? So I had to pay the car plus the interest. That didn't make sense to me, especially when she was just paying for the car. By the time all my payments were done, I would have paid $11,000 more than her. And it's all because of how she had managed her credit at the time. So make sure that you are managing your credit. Have a plan and share your plans. This is when AI technology. Did you guys hear my watch start? You did, Hillary? Yeah. So have a plan and share your plan with anyone, right? So as I mentioned earlier, me and Hillary were talking. My daughter, she's 20. She has excellent credit. The reason she does is because when she turned 16, I added her as an authorized user to my credit cards. She didn't know she had credit cards in her name because she would have used those credit cards. But my goal was to make sure I started her on the right track, right? And when she applies for things, if she needs them, she will have good interest in things like that. So I just wanted to give that information. If you all have any questions at all whatsoever, I am going to switch my screen and put up a QR code. And that QR code, if you wanted to scan it and make an appointment, you can do so. And hold on one second. You can scan that QR code that is on your screen right now. And we can talk about banking and credit if you, or building your credit. That would be great. Is there any questions, Hillary? I know we're kind of getting the time frame.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've addressed all the questions from the chat, but I think we could go to some of the questions that we had gotten from the pre-submission form.
Mm-hmm.
So I know one that I think you kind of just answered in your presentation, but I think it's a nice point to emphasize. Someone asked, what can high schoolers do to build up their credit score? And when you were talking about, you know, being an authorized user, talking to your parents about that might be a good direction to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talking to your parents about that is super important, right? And what I need you all to understand is make sure our kids have best friends, right? And they tell best friends everything. And peer pressure is real. What you don't want is, you know, kid A telling kid B, oh yeah, I got a credit card, and the peer pressure of kid A, hey, why don't we go buy this? Why don't we go buy that? Please make sure you know, educate your children, or don't even tell them that they have this going on, because I've seen some horror stories where people have gone and, you know, bought this and that, you know, bought computers and laptops because, you know, they can. Make sure that we're educating our children on, you know, that this is happening. Show them the importance of doing that. You can do, for children, the adding as the authorized user, you can do a savings secured loan when they turn 18 in most states, unless you are an emancipated adult. Under 18, you can start establishing, you know, your own credit as well. One of the things I asked you to do the QR code. When you do the QR code, if you want to speak directly to me, you're going to enter the zip code. You're going to click on schedule the appointment and enter a zip code of 44022. And you're going to select the South Russell branch. And my name is Keisha Wilson. And you can schedule an appointment right there on the Citizens Bank app. So as long as you have that zip code 44022, you can do that by scheduling. And Hillary, go ahead.
Yeah, some of the other questions that we got. So these two are somewhat similar, and I think we can kind of answer them in the same way. One person said, I pay my credit card diligently every month for the last 5 years, and my credit score is stagnated. And the other was, it's a little bit different, but kind of the same idea. Moved to the US in 2017, so I have a thin credit history. I have a few credit cards. I've always paid them off on time. However, my score is stagnating. I have no purchases with installments or debt to pay up. How do I make it nudge up?
Okay, so a couple of things that can help increase that is, one, your credit mix. So the second person said, I pretty much just have small credit cards. Maybe you want to do those savings secured loans to increase the credit mix. But also, with the people who are paying it on time, what you want to make sure is each time you pay, you want to get it under that, you know, 30% mark, but pay attention to your statement close date, right? So if I pay $5 to Mary by Friday, every Friday, $5, but on that Saturday I borrow and I pay the next Friday $5, then Saturday I borrow and pay $5, that's kind of staying the same. That's kind of my trend, right? However, if I borrow $5 and Mary has to send me a reminder on Tuesday that, hey, on Friday, I need that payment. If I pay Mary back on Monday, when she looks at her books, it may say, oh, she already paid me back. And that amount can help. Also, if I decrease the amount that I'm borrowing from Mary. So if I borrow $5 this week, $4 the next week, $3 the next week, $2 the next week, it's showing I don't have to rely on Mary's money. I can become self-sufficient as well. So those little tips and tricks can help as well. Also, asking for credit line increases can also help improve your score, because you know what, if Nadata is monitoring my credit and she sees that, hey, now Mary said $5 Keisha can borrow, but whoa, she says this week she can borrow $200. Nadata must have great trust in Mary, right? So having higher credit limits will sometimes bump your credit score up, because it's saying that you are more trustworthy with credit and managing that debt. Okay. What other questions did you have? Someone asked if I could repost the QR code. Do you mind if I do that really quick, Hillary, while you're looking for a question? Okay. Share. Okay.
Well, another one that we had gotten beforehand was a situation where someone asked, how can I build my score faster despite my student loans and a home purchase?
So with student loans and home purchasing, those are big debts, big assets to have, and it reports big debt on there. With that, over time, as you're making the payments, those will improve your score. When earlier in the presentation, I stated that the length of time that you have, that affects your score as well. So if I just got my home today, in 2 months, we still don't know if you can manage that housing payment. We don't know that yet. So a year from now, we can see that's a good assessment. Hey, this person has made 12 months of on-time payment history. She pays more than the amount. She pays, you know, a lot to the principal. So her balance is coming down on that. So that can help to improve that score. With student loans, as of right now, a lot of people are taking advantage of the suspended payments. However, that doesn't necessarily help you. All it is doing is deferring, you know, when you have to make those payments. So sometimes it's better to still pay, to say, hey, I can still afford to do this because I am a responsible person. And paying those, you know, bills on time is super important to show consistency that you can manage the debt that someone has allowed you to take advantage of. Now, also, I do want to provide my name. It's Keisha Wilson. I'm going to put this information in the chat and change this to everyone.
Hi, Carly. I see you have a question.
Yes. Hi. I just wanted, am I allowed to, I know you say you can book an appointment with you, but am I allowed to do that even though I don't have Citizens Bank? Or you have to have?
Can.
Okay.
You sure can. I'm also going to include my phone number in the chat as well.
And Keisha, is it okay if I include this information in a follow-up email? I will provide the recording
Absolutely.
and all of that stuff too. Okay. I saw
Absolutely.
Tanya submitted a question. Does paying bi-monthly help improve score?
So it does help. And the reason it does help, Tanya, is because when that statement close date happens, it shows that your balance is, you know, less than what they projected it to be. It's saying, hey, this person can manage their credit. It helps not only in the credit, but also sometimes in the amount that you owe over time, sometimes lessening that payment by almost half, since you're paying bi-monthly, saving you on interest as well that you would have paid. So to answer that question, yes. Now, one thing I want to caution you on with paying bi-monthly, sometimes you'll pay, and you say, you know what, I'm paid up 4 months on my whatever, my car loan. I don't have to pay again until September. That's when they say the next payment is due. Please understand that interest sometimes is compounded payment date through payment date. So that next payment that you make in September could all go to interest because it has not received a payment on that bill, even though you were paid all the way up to September.
Okay. I think we can do a few more questions and we'll wrap up. There's some that are very specific. I think this one's
Okay.
kind of, this is kind of a two-parter. If you pay off a creditor, how does the paid account affect your credit score? Can you make payment arrangements with the creditor that wants to sue through civil court? It's a pretty specific.
Okay. So for the first portion of the credit, if you make payment arrangements, Hillary? Can you repeat the first?
Yeah, so if you pay off a creditor, how does the paid account affect your credit score?
Okay, so if you paid it off and you paid it by the terms and conditions of the contract, it will just say paid, and in most cases, it raises your score. However, if the creditor pays it off in a form of charge off, so meaning the balance now is 0 and you no longer owe it, but it says charge off, that adversely affects your payment, right? So you want to make sure that you avoid charge-offs at any cost. Also, if you close the account as a consumer, it affects you better than if the company closes the account. Now, I don't know if you guys recall, but in one of the slides I reported, length of payment history is super, super important when establishing credit. If you close your creditor and they are your oldest creditor when you first turn the age of 18 and you close that line, your credit history now shortens, right? So it's super important that you maintain a long, lengthy credit history because they want to be able to see, hey, this person knows how to establish and maintain their credit. So closing older accounts could shorten your credit history, in that case, dropping your score. Okay. Now, someone asked a question in regards to courts and things. Can you repeat that portion of the
Yeah. So
question?
the second part of the question is, can you make payment arrangements with a creditor that wants to sue through civil court?
So you would have to contact that creditor directly or your own attorney to figure out the best course of action for that. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes creditors will not accept payments. Okay.
I think a good question to kind of wrap us up on is kind of a broad one, but I think you'll have a good answer for us. It's what habits create bad credit? I know we went through a lot of different things today, but I think, yeah, go ahead.
So, you know what? I'm so glad you asked that question. What habits create bad credit scores? So, not paying your bills on time is one. Not paying your bills on time, making not your credit limit is 500, you spending $600 going over that credit limit, paying late each and every month, just, living beyond your means. That creates a bad, habit. And one thing that my grandmother would say is, if you can't, afford it, don't buy it, right? And my daughter, her idea of an emergency is, oh my God, Mom, there is a sale. I gotta buy it now. It's an emergency. That is not an emergency at all. That's not an emergency, right? So you have to make sure that you're guarding and protecting your credit by all means necessary in order to, thrive financially.
Great. Well, does anybody else who is here have any questions they want to ask Keisha now before we wrap up?
So someone had asked privately, is only paying the minimum payment, would that affect your credit negatively? So let me answer that. So the minimum payment is there, but it's going to take you a very long time to pay off that debt, and only paying the minimum, while it doesn't affect you, it will keep you pretty much in the same spot. It won't boost your credit. It'll kind of maintain that same level of credit history that you're paying. Paying more than the minimum is what you want to do, because it lets creditors know you know how to manage your debt and that you are, not living beyond your means. Any other questions?
All right. Well, I think everybody would, oh, no, we've got one. Thank you. How to play with credit rewards.
Ooh, so I have a customer who is so good at this, and it's even beyond my. So we just had at my company a 10% cash back credit card on gas. That promotion is over, just so you guys know. But with gas, as much as it is, and to get 10% back on it, is impressive. So when you all are shopping for credit cards, it is our pleasure as financial institutions to have you as our customer. We want customers, and you all selecting us as financial institutions, we need to see that as something that is, we should be happy that we are taking you on as a client, because when we do that, money is invested and the banks make money, or any financial institution makes money on, their customers. So it's super important. So how to play the credit rewards game. So my best friend and also my customer, they have a Giant Eagle fuel reward thingy. So they go and they buy their, go to Giant Eagle, they get their gift cards, they take their gift cards, and then they'll get, take those gift cards, use the rewards at the gas stations, or take the gas station points and pay the gas station points to the credit cards, getting 5,000 points added up over time, and using that. So my cashback card, how I use it is I swipe that card every day. I pay it in full every single month, but I never swipe over 30% of my credit limit. If my credit limit is $1,000, I never put more than $300 on that card, and I save those points. I bank those points. In November, I take those points and I transfer that cash back into my bank account, and then I use those points, that cash back, and I use it for my holiday shopping. So, just make the points in the cards work for you.
I'm very hasty with my points. Every time I see them, if I'm like at $5, I just put it right back in.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. How to start building credit history ASAP. And I think we might close with this question since we've only got a minute and I don't want to hold anybody up. So how to start building credit history ASAP when you work overseas. How to build credit history if you're international.
So I would start with a secured credit card if you have no credit at all. Either a savings secured credit card or a savings secured loan, something like that, or being added as an authorized user to someone's account, maybe a friend's or a relative. That way you can borrow their credit, their good credit. Make sure, because if they don't pay their bills on time, their bad credit will also transfer to you. So those are a few different tips that you can do to improve your credit score. As long as, the credit monitoring system is just a computer. It doesn't know where you are, doesn't know that you're in a different country. It just knows, hey, this person has a bill with us and they're paying it each and every month on time. So that's what I would do. Either be added as an authorized user to someone's account who will allow you to do that, or do a savings secured vehicle. If you do not have any credit, and you may not know, maybe you are credit worthy. So I would apply after I pull my credit reports and see where I am. Okay.
Okay, well, I think we will wrap it up. I know that some of you may still have questions. I will be sending out an email that has contact information for Keisha so you can get a hold of her and start reaching your financial goals. I hope that this was an informative session for you, that you found some tactics that you can apply to your own life, and really appreciate your time spending with us. Again, in that email, you'll have Keisha's information. We will have access to the recording of the session so you can review it along with the slides. And then we do have a survey that if you could just take a minute or two, complete that survey so we know how we're doing and we can improve anything that maybe we didn't do right this time. All right. Well, thank you all so much. Have a nice long weekend and enjoy some good weather.
Thank you.